This is your top story this hour. 3 people, including the assailant, have been killed in a knife attack on a mosque in Malmesbury in the Western Cape. 2 worshippers were stabbed to death while in a state of itikaf, or religious solitude. Police say an officer responding to the incident shot dead 1 suspect. 3 others, including 1 police officer, were injured. Let's get you the very latest from the scene. Now we cross live to ENC reporter Athi Mtongana. Athi, a lot of details emerging about the story, but take us back to the very beginning and what time this unfolded, how it unfolded.
It happened very early this morning, Michelle, and in fact we're standing in a house next door to that mosque. As you may know, the police arrived at the scene as soon as the incident happened, so it is cordoned off. We are not allowed to get into the scene to show you exactly where it happened. I'm joined by the South African police spokesperson here in the Western Cape, Andre Trout, who arrived also shortly after the incident happened. Malmesbury police were dispersed following the report of people being stabbed at the mosque next to us. So I'm just going to throw to him, Michelle, and just talk to him about this very tragic incident here in Malmesbury. A very good morning to you, Colonel. This incident, very alarming. Take us back to when it actually happened and when police were dispersed at the scene.
Good morning. Yes, during the early hours of this morning, Malmesbury police got a call from the community of an attack at the mosque. They responded immediately. On their arrival, they discovered the bodies of 2 people who were stabbed to death inside the mosque and 2 others injured. They were admitted to hospital. The suspect was still on the crime scene and he was armed with a knife. Police persuaded him to hand himself over, but he ignored the calls and he charged at police to attack them. In the process, he was fatally wounded. His death is now part of an IPIT investigation.
So those 2 men that were stabbed, you were saying to us that they were rushed to hospital, so they didn't die on the scene. They succumbed to their injuries on arrival in hospital.
Two victims were killed on the crime scene in the mosque, and then the others who sustained injuries were taken to hospital.
How many other people were injured as a result of this incident?
We have record of 2 people that sustained stab wounds in the incident, as I said, and 2 were fatally stabbed inside the mosque.
When your members arrived at the scene, we do understand that they then chased the suspect up the road. Tell us about that incident and how they ended up, shooting the suspect.
Basically, when police arrived on the crime scene, the suspect was in the vicinity, was basically still on the crime scene. Police approached him and he was armed with a knife. He was persuaded to surrender to police and hand over the knife. He then walked a distance and police followed him, in the process negotiating with him to hand over the knife. At some point he charged at police in an attempt to attack police members with a knife, and during that process he was fatally wounded.
Describe to us the scene, because obviously we're not allowed to go in. Describe to us how gruesome the scene is, because you do understand that he stabbed them. So we can just imagine the blood sweat around the scene inside the mosque.
Unfortunately, I can't describe the crime scene. That is part of a police investigation. I myself have not been on the crime scene. We allow our forensic experts to first fine-comb the scene, as well as our detectives.
Before I let you go, Colonel, now the suspect that was being chased by the police, in them trying to convince him to put down the knife and hand himself over, what kind of a state was he in?
Unfortunately, I can't elaborate on that. The circumstances surrounding the entire event will be investigated. As I said, his death will be investigated by IPIT, and your question is best addressed by them. But as I said, all possibilities are being investigated, and it's too soon to speculate on motives at this stage.
I know I said I'll let you go, but some other question just came up to me now. Obviously, people now are talking about the other incident in KZN that happened that is almost similar to this one. Now, in the Western Cape, is this the first of its kind where, some people are stabbed in a mosque?
Well, I can't recall of another incident, but as I said before, all possibilities will be investigated, and it's way too soon to speculate on a possible motive or link this incident with any other incident in the country.
Thank you very much, Colonel Andre Trout from the South African Police here in the Western Cape, saying it is too early to speculate about the motive behind this incident, Michelle. And also, when we arrived here in Malmesbury, the Muslim Judicial Council was visiting the family, the relatives of the deceased. They were also urging people not to speculate about the cause of this incident, saying they should wait on authorities to establish why this man decided to stab the people inside that mosque this morning.
All right, Athi, we'll let you go and let you get out of the rain and the winds there. Athi Mtongana is tracking that story for us in Malmesbury in the Western Cape. 3 people, including an assailant, have been killed in a knife attack on a mosque in Malmesbury in the Western Cape.